you ever considered that the way you actually view yourself is affecting your branding? In my video about finding a distinct brand style for yourself, I talked about looking at yourself and the way things about you affect your brand. But there's another more deeper element, and that's how you actually perceive yourself, your own self-perception. It can have a huge impact on how you brand yourself, and it can also debilitate your branding, because if you're putting yourself down, or there's certain things about you that you don't like or that you're too scared to show, it can affect your branding. So you really actually have to identify that and get clear about what it is that you want to be projecting and how you see yourself, and whether there's things about yourself that you're downplaying, so that you can really truly shine and have a brand that is truly you and you're not holding back. If we want to change who we are and become our absolute best selves, one of the first ways we can do that through our business is by branding ourselves in the way that we truly want to be, our absolute core real selves. This isn't totally faking it till you make it. It's more being yourself before you're even ready to be yourself. If there's certain things that you're hiding, holding back, or you're just too shy about, you're just pushing yourself, really being your true self even before you're ready to show it. And being sure that there's certain things about how you see yourself that aren't affecting the way you want to be seen. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about how self-perception can affect your branding, and how you can be sure that you are putting out there who you want to be, and that you're really analysing how you're perceiving yourself right now and how that's affecting your branding. And if there's things that you want to change, or if you really have to reflect more about, how am I seeing myself? Is that really in alignment with how I want to be seen? Okay, so let's start with an example. Say you live in a city and you're an artist and you create beautiful, brightly coloured paintings. You could say that my style should be hipster, fun, bright, colourful, bold. But this is where self-perception plays a role. If I saw myself as a starving artist, struggling to get by, feeling like no one is really recognizing my talent, or I'm just not getting out there, then my style and my branding might be lacking. I might be withdrawing. It might be more subtle, messy, and unkept. But if I saw myself as this high-end professional artist, high up in the industry with exclusive beautiful paintings, then my style would be completely different. It'd be more clean, minimal, with pops of bright colour, really elegant and stylish and high-end arty. Or what if I was new to the area and I felt like I just didn't fit in, like I was a bit different from everybody else, and so I was a bit scared to really be putting myself out there? Then my style might be really understated. It might be really quiet. When my work is really bright and colourful, the brand isn't reflecting that because of my self-perception. There could be so many examples of this, but you get the picture. The way you actually see yourself is going to affect how you brand yourself. You're going to start reflecting those inner thoughts, those inner feelings about yourself into your brand. It's also interesting to note that the way we see ourselves is often different from how others see us. So it's also really great to get out there and ask other people how they're perceiving us, and seeing if that aligns with how we see ourselves and also how we want to be seen, because we want to be showing up in a certain way in our brand, and we want to be sure that that message is connecting. There isn't this disconnect between you see yourself one way, they see yourself a different way, but you want to be seen in a completely other way. You need to be sure it all aligns, and that the way you see yourself is the way you want to be seen and the way you're actually being seen, because you want to create a brand style that is undeniably you. So it's getting to the bottom of who you are and how you're seeing yourself, and if there's things about the way you see yourself that are creating a disconnect there. Are there things that you're downplaying, or things about yourself that are holding you back? So let's look at a few questions you should ask yourself to get to the bottom of how you're seeing yourself and how self-perception is playing a role in your branding identity. Firstly, how do you see yourself in regards to wealth, class, and status? Because if you feel like you're poor and struggling, then that might end up reflecting in your branding when you don't want it to. Or you might not be really putting yourself out there enough because you feel like you're not good enough, or you're not, the right class, or whatever it is that you feel. So you really think about, how are you actually seeing yourself right now? And is that affecting your branding in a bad way? And if it is, how can you try and uplift that and start feeling more how you want to feel? Then how do you see yourself in regards to your education, expertise, and skill? Do you feel like you're an expert enough? Do you feel like you've really got the skill, talent, and knowledge in what you're putting out there in your business? Because if you don't feel like that expert, if you feel like you're just faking it or you got that imposter syndrome, then that could be adversely affecting your branding too. Because if you want to be that high class, high-end brand, but you feel like you're just not quite expert enough, so you're downplaying it, then that's going to stop you from getting where you want to go. And similarly, how do you see yourself in terms of your talent and your skill level? So do you feel like you've got the talents you need, or are you constantly looking at everyone else, comparing and putting yourself down, saying, I'm not good enough, and then downplaying it through your branding, saying, well, I can't have this really awesome brand because, I'm not as talented as everyone else. So it's how you see yourself in terms of your talent affecting your branding in any way. And then what kind of personality do you feel you have? So do you feel like you're this really outgoing, bubbly person? And is that being reflected in your branding? Does it feel bold, bubbly, and fun? Or do you feel like you're more a quiet, reserved person? And are you showing that in your branding? Is it more quiet and understated? But remember, if it is quiet and understated, do that in a beautiful, elegant way so that people will have that feeling and connection to you, but it's also not downplaying your brand. How do you see yourself in regards to your life roles? So I'm talking about things like if you're a mother, a wife, brother, sister, all those life roles that you have. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as the nurturer? Do you see yourself as the leader? How do you see yourself in those roles? And then how is that reflected in the way you brand yourself as a business too? So if in life you feel like you're this real leader, are you also projecting yourself as a leader in your business as well? And then how do you see yourself in relation to other people? So how do you relate to, your friends, your family, your colleagues? Are you the one that's starting the conversations, or are you the great listener, or are you the real giver that's always helping other people out? How do you see yourself in relation to others? And how are you bringing that into your branding too? Are you the real friendly one? Are you putting that friendliness into your branding? Or are you the connector that's really good at finding people that other people need and, making those connections? Are you putting those traits into your branding so that people feel connected to you and get to know you? And then how do you see yourself in your personal identity? So things about, your background, where you're from, all those little things that make up your identity and how you see yourself. How are those things affecting the way you see yourself and the way you're putting yourself out there into the world and into your brand? And what is it that you feel you exude in your personality? What is that number one thing people would say about you if, they were asked, what kind of person are they? Are you this super outgoing person? Are you that super kind person? Are you that super giving person? Are you that excellent listener that everyone wants to have a chat to when they need to just get things out there? Or are you that hard worker that just loves to really put in the effort and always gives 110%? What is it about your personality that you're really exuding and that people really associate you as being? And then how do you think others see you? So maybe you've heard people mention things about you in the past and it's got you thinking, I think that's how other people are perceiving me. And is that lining up with how you're actually perceiving yourself? So maybe your inner thoughts are completely different from how other people are seeing you. Or, maybe you feel like you're this kind of person, but you're not putting that out there enough. So are you projecting your true self to other people? And finally, what areas of who you are and how you see yourself would you like to change? And this doesn't mean completely changing yourself and becoming this totally new person. It's more about just taking those extra little steps and improving to become your full true self. So is there certain things about yourself that you feel you've been holding back, or that you've been beating yourself up about, that you feel like you're not truly showing your true full self for some reason? And how can you start branding yourself as that true full self? So even if you're not feeling in yourself quite there yet, so that you can start stepping into who you really are and who you're meant to be. Because remember, if you've got a personal brand, it is personal. It's about who you are. And so don't let the way you see yourself adversely affect the way you're branding yourself. Now, once you've taken these steps to have a good think about how you're seeing yourself, that's when you get to do the really hard bit and go out there and ask other people how they're seeing you. So maybe use some of those questions you ask yourself, or just, simply ask people, what is those top things you think about when you think about me? Start thinking, how are people actually seeing me, especially in your business and your brand too, not just personally. So, you know, maybe ask a few of your best customers or clients, how do you perceive me? What kind of personality do you think I have based on what I'm putting out there? You know, and then that way you can better align and make shifts and changes that make sure that the way you see yourself, the way you want to be seen, and the way that you're currently being seen is all starting to go the same direction. It'll also help you to know what areas about yourself you need to push yourself more in and make sure you really shine in. If someone says, oh, I think you're the really great listener, you always have a great ear, but you haven't really been projecting that in your branding, maybe you need to really push it real hard, because maybe that's something about yourself that sets you apart, makes you different from everyone else in your industry. So find those little funny little things in your personality and who you are that other people are seeing about you, and start making sure that it sets you apart in your branding. Start embracing it. Start embracing who you are and the person you really are, and don't let your self-perception hold you back. So let me know in the comments if you find out anything interesting, especially after chatting to some people and after having a good think about it. Was there something about the way you're perceiving yourself you realize is making you holding yourself back in your branding and not letting your true self shine? Because that is what's going to attract people, and that's what's going to set you apart. And if you love learning about visual branding and graphic design and web design and really making a brand that stands out and attracts, then be sure to subscribe to this channel, because we talk lots about branding and design and making your creativity shine. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.